Hello everyone, welcome to part 1 of the grand season finale, or at least the grand finale of part 2 of season 1. Yeah, that makes sense. As the moon rises over Kerbal here in the main menu, we are setting this as our destination for our big show here today. So I'm going to combine my bonus feature and my main episode into one big long two-parter to close out this sort of part 2 of season 1 of Kerbal Space Program before we head into another 1 week long break. And our mission is right here. We are going to build a new service outpost on the moon that can support at least 5 Kerbals. It should have a viewing cupola and maintain stability for 10 seconds. So we're going to accept this contract. Since we're headed to the moon, we'll go ahead and grab some science data from the surface of the moon. And science data from space around the moon. We could rescue so-and-so from the moon as well, but I'll do that some other time. So if we take a look at our active contracts, everything, we're going to be going back to the moon again. Perform temperature scans, we still have that one to do. And I've also picked up Explore, Duna, and Ike, just so I have them in my ticker for when we get to a point where we can do that. I grabbed those for the cash advances, really. We now have nearly 600,000 funds available to us at the moment. So with those 600,000 funds, we're going to really start building this outpost. I've got a calculator handy, my phone calculator in science mode, so we can calculate some stuff as we go along. Now a lot of this can be done, you know, fly-by-wire. Land your outpost on the moon. Antenna, docking port, and can generate power. Supports at least 5 Kerbals. Must have a couple of. Okay, we'll start with that. Moon Base Alpha. Isn't that the name of a game or something? There it is, 1 cupola. And these things can support up to 1 crew, which isn't very much. Now, since we're landing a base on the moon, there really is no point in not what we really want. Science. A mobile processing lab. And we know these things can carry 2 crew. And if we can load this up with a couple of crew people from the astronaut complex and sort of set up a permanent moon base, then that would be really cool. However, we're going to have that thing land sideways like so. Yeah, like that. Center of mass. Now I want to add on a couple of basically right here. So I need a radial mounting thingamajigger. I think that's under structural. Do I have it? Yeah, I do. I want to put this right here as close to the center of mass as I possibly can. In fact, I'll just get my camera right over the top of it so I know exactly what I'm doing. I'm pretty sure that's there. Now that I have that done, I can attach to the top one of these. Tonk right there. So there's kind of the beginning of our moon base. This moon base has crew capacity for 3 people. Now we do need to have this have capacity for more. So if I put in a lander can right about here, boop, and the cupola on top, here we have a 5-person thing. Under utility, can add some ladders. Make it easier for our crew to get around. This one will actually have an extending ladder like this one. I think it needs to go that way. And we'll rotate it. My printer's making an awful lot of noise right now. Okay. That should give us, you know, plenty of maneuverability getting around here. Now we need to make this thing as wide and stable as possible. We might need bigger landing legs. Interesting. We have strange things going on with symmetry. Put one there. Put one there. One, two, like so. Actually, I'm sorry. Let's go ahead and just put them here. Have it sit a little closer to the ground, I think, is the way to go. And the same thing over here. There. And there. Okay, we're retracting all this stuff. Why are you refusing to retract, you silly ladder? I don't understand. Offset that out a little bit, I think is what needs to happen. There we go. Okay. That's the base. This thing's big and heavy, but it's a one-way thing. That's 8.2 tons. And we know that this thing coming down by itself to land on the moon from low orbit needs 580 delta V. I want to give it a little bit more for some fudge factor, so I'm aiming for a 7,500 or so. Fuel tanks. Put one there, one there. Engines. one here like this. And the other one there like that. Alright, now the trick is to find out how much delta V this thing actually has. Back to my calculator. So, we have 19 divided by 11. Get the natural log of that times 9.8 times the ISP of this is 305. That gives us 1600 delta V, which is more than enough to land on the moon. It's plenty to land on the moon. Got this funny looking structure here. Okay, I'm gonna do a pad test of this. Go ahead and deploy all these. Extend the ladder. Check our ground clearances of engines and stuff like that. Jeb, you can be our test pilot. This vessel has no remote control or manned command modules. The lander can is not considered a manned command module? Well, one thing we notice is that we're sitting on the engine bells. Back to the vehicle assembly. Just moving these engines up. Now, I wonder what that problem is with us not having any... I mean, the lander can is obviously... What happens if I do this? Okay, it seems to be fine with that. So we take that off, put on a lander can. Stick Jeb in the lander can. Launch that. That seems to be alright, except the fact that I don't have any fuel in it. Okay, now on top, once again, cupola. Like so. Crew, Jeb in the lander can. There it is, all settled down. We can... retract the ladder. Ooh, this thing has enough thrust to move around. Well, there you have it. It's actually pretty stable. Until you crash it. Okay, so that's the lander can part. And we have determined that it has how much delta V? Let me just recalculate that. It was 19 divided by 11, right? Yep. 19 divided by 11 equals natural log times 9.8 times, what's the, this engine is 305. 1600 delta V. So that is actually enough. Pulling up the old delta V map here. That is enough. 860. That would be low curb in orbit to moon intercept. 320. 580. That's not quite enough to get from low curb in orbit, but if we can get this thing to lunar intercept before cutting it loose, we're all good to go. So let's go ahead and retract those. Pull up the ladder as well. Silly thing. I'll do that on the launch pad. Okay, we want to make sure this thing is full of fuel. And stupid ladder. Save that. Moonbase Alpha. Alright, Moonbase Alpha needs some science stuff. We're not going to be able to run a Science Junior. That would make this thing... We could do that, I guess. It just makes this thing too weird shaped to me. We will bring a couple of goo canisters. We'll bring a Presmat barometer. Here, put a Presmat barometer right there. Grab a temperature thingamajigger. This thing will need an antenna for transmission. We'll stick it right there. This base is going to be on the surface of the moon doing stuff, so we'll grab bigger, better, stronger transmission gear. That looks like a good spot for it. Let's try extending it. Make sure it looks all right. Yeah, that looks great, actually. Retract. Okay. We'll need some batteries. Or at least a battery. We'll put a battery over there. I don't know what the heat situation is going to be like. I haven't actually messed with it. Thermal control system. Don't know if it matters or not. But we do need some solar panels. So, put some around there and there. And there. And there. Okay, this base should have everything it needs now. Should have everything it needs to land, do the science and stuff. All right. The next step. Let me get the center of mass here so I can make sure I'm getting this thing more or less attached where I want it. The next step is to build the ascent vehicle, the basically the mission vehicle. So put that there. Command and control. Put one of these right here. Structural. Putting that there. Fuel tanks. One of these guys. Engines. Poodle. Okay, how much delta V does this have? We are now at 30.3 divided by, empty that, 22.3. Take the natural log of that, times 9.8 times the ISP of the Poodle, which is 350. So this has 1,000 delta V. This would be plenty to send us to a moon transfer. Now all I need to worry about is make sure that I have 3,300 or so delta V to get this whole thing into space. Structural, one big coupler. Fuel tanks. This one. This one. I think I want the mainsail. Just based on the size of that. Back to the calculator. Okay. 72.7 divided by 40.7 natural log times 9.8 times 310. Well, we'll go 285, the lower of the two. That's 1,600. So that is only half of what we need to get to orbit. Which means we need more fuel tank. Now, just because I've doubled the fuel does not necessarily mean I've doubled the delta V. Remember, in that case, there are diminishing returns. So what I really should do, instead of doing that, is this. Oops, too many. A full-blown asparagus build, which means these kind of couplers. 2 of those. Fuel tanks. I'm going, excuse me, I'm going with a hexagonal asparagus setup. Lots of fins down here, so I have plenty of stability. It's not gimbaled. This is gimbaled. I'm going to get rid of these gimbals. Utility will put a couple of... Put some solar panels around there. That'll be good. Alright. Now for the asparagus part of my asparagus staging. Fuel gauges. So if you're not familiar with asparagus staging, what basically happens is each of these tanks will feed one into the other, and when they empty, they will then drop off, reducing the craft's weight overall as they are burned up. But what that means is we have to do some special stuff here. So now we have a fuel line hooked up. So this fuel line will feed into this rocket. This fuel line feeds into that rocket. This one feeds into the central rocket. So this one will be the one that goes away first. That's these decouplers right there. And then these ones go away next. And then those ones fall off. What happens is this whole time these are contributing thrust, and then this tank will be left with full fuel when everything is empty, everything is gone. I think we're down to stability enhancers at this point. And some struts. Let me just make sure these are all strutted together here so they're nice and square and stable. And one more set. And we're ready to go. There we have it. Launch stability enhancers. Here. Here. And there. That should be all we need to get this thing to the moon, I think. Where we have plenty of delta V up here, so as long as we can get part way towards lunar intercept from this stage, we're golden. Move all this up like so. Okay, on the moon, I want to double check. We have power. We'll need a couple of crew who can man this thing. So, we have a pilot, and we have an engineer. I'd really like a scientist. Wrong button. Let's go hire us a scientist. Scientist. Tom Fraud. Sure, he sounds like a fine scientist. And we are looking for Moon Base Alpha. Got a crew of 3 going there. This is it. It's the official of officialness. The thing's sitting on the launch pad, looking good and stable. We have our full asparagus setup here with 6 falling off stages. Just double check that we have the right ones falling off in the right order. Yes, we do. All the engines are going to go. The gimbal is locked. Stability is on the fins. That thing, okay. Control from here. Turn off the torque. We'll go ahead and enable the this for help to help us maneuver. T, full throttle, and blast off. I want to get to about 100 meters per second before I start pushing over, so we have stability added from the fins. I think we have too many competing forces going on this thing. Alright, stabilize. Stabilize. Let's go ahead and cut back our throttle here. Okay, hopefully our autopilot can maintain that now. That's looking a little better. Go ahead and back off the throttle a little more. Now, so you can see through all that asparagus station that this thing now has full fuel left. So we're at a point now where I think we can punch it. That's keeping us prograde. We're looking pretty steady. Get the apoapsis pushed up out of the atmosphere. Just let our fins do their job of keeping us stable. Going through a little bit more fuel than I'd hoped, but okay. 72-kilometer orbit. Get ourselves circularized in a 72 by 72. We probably don't have 30 seconds of fuel in this stage, but I think that's going to be okay. Okay. I might not even need in the mainsail. Might have been able to get away with a skipper, which would give us more delta V, but less thrust to weight ratio. So you really got to work on, you know, how to balance those. What's important in those kind of things. This little booster stage is going to give us plenty, I think, to circularize and get us most of the way to orbit, if not more. So since I know this stage once again is going to run out before I reach the end of the burn, I'm going to go ahead and kick it off at 50% throttle. We still have like 40 seconds of fuel in this thing. Oh no, not this stage though. Yeah, we have like 5 seconds of fuel left in this particular stage. There it goes. Boom. Full throttle. This gimbal is locked. Now we're on the reaction wheel for navigation, and we have 1 minute in this burn to circularize. So what I need to do is I need to point up a little bit from the horizon, actually. And the reason for that is because the apoapsis is falling behind us, so I want to kind of, if you aim a little bit up from the atmosphere, it'll push it more forward along the orbit. How much of this fuel am I using? Looks like I'm going to be using about half of it. There we have it. We have a stable orbit. We've used half of the fuel in this stage. So now our next step is to target the moon. Set this target. We're off by 2 degrees on the node. I might be able to add my encounter and plane change at the same time. Nope, doesn't look like it. There we have it. Let's go ahead and warp to our next maneuver. So, we have our first permanent space base headed towards the moon fairly shortly, as soon as we get this burn underway, and then we'll do a little plane change right there. There's our other space station. I should rename that. Okay, we have a 2 minute 11-second burn. So we'll go ahead and get that started. 2 minutes 11 seconds. 250 divided by 6. 170 divided by 6. We have 28 seconds of fuel left on this thing. And then we're going to be all internal on these guys. Which should be fine, actually. We know that this has tons of delta V, actually. It would have been best if we could have reached orbit completely on the other tank and then not had to use this, but that's alright. We will cope. This one is out. Next stage. Go ahead and lock these gimbals. I don't need them. And we can retrieve this ladder. Once we are done with this burn, we're ready to get our oh, this is a big roving science thing. Oh, that's going to be awesome. X. I've gone too far. Retrograde. Bring our moon periapsis back down to a reasonable height. About like that. Okay. It's official. This ship is on its way. This funky old thing. So let's get some panels out. So we're going to go ahead and warp time till we get into Moon's sphere of influence and get ourselves ready for a landing spot. We are now high over the moon. I want to face radial out. Get this periapsis to 10 kilometers. There we go. Now that we are over the moon, how's our data looking? We have 133 data loaded up right now. So let's go ahead and get it loaded with more stuff. Okay, at 30 seconds, we'll get ready for this moon landing. Get facing in the right direction. Here we have it. At T-minus 10, I think. Hit the brakes. Four, 3, 2, 1, 0-ish. 10 by 17, we can get this a little bit more. Okay, so right here is where we're going to add our maneuver to land. So I'll go ahead and raise this, pull that. Maybe we'll do it here. Aim for the kind of the middle of the crater, because I know the moon's going to rotate while we're waiting to get here. But we're now coming around the light side of the moon, and it is once again time for a battery of science to load up. We're going to warp here, and then we're going to go ahead and set down in this crater and begin our moon-based science extravaganza. Where's that maneuver? This way. Estimated burn 4 seconds. Since it's a 4-second burn, I'll probably start it at T-minus 4 at 50% throttle. Like so. Okay, I do know that I need more. I need more plane change. Need more prograde. Am I commanding from the right spot? Control from here. No, that's my problem, brother. Yeah, for some reason I wasn't controlling it from the right spot anymore, so a little bit of wasted fuel getting that sorted out. That's okay. I kind of want to go like this. Sort of throw my orbit up. Now if I go retrograde, what will then happen is I should be able to clear that mountain. Something about like that. Right here, we'll hit the brakes. You know what? I kind of like this area. I'm going to go ahead and hit the brakes right now. We are getting ready for landing. Face retrograde for me, Bob. Or Jeb. Get ourselves rotated around to a sane way. Still backwards. X. I'm trying to get myself set up so that... Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Now we're just going to fall down. We have just enough fuel for this. And by just enough... Oh! I mean, I've overthrusted. Don't kill us. And crash. Despite my flying, we managed to... My terrible flying, we have managed to set down on the moon. Oh, really?